Thanks. Yeah. You didn't know that about me, did you? Well, now you do. And stop laughing. All right, it's local news. It's a segment where each guest has to share a real news story from wherever they're from, and then I vote on the winner, and that person gets a swimming lesson from Hans, my pool boy.
I better win.
Control yourself, Chris. All right, Joe, why don't you go first with your... Where are you from, Joe?
Greg, I'm from State College, Pennsylvania, home of Penn State University. Go Pitt.
Well done. Excellent. I've been to State College. It's beautiful there.
Beautiful town, beautiful town.
Yeah. What's the news? Tell us what's happening there. What's percolating?
Well, an industry group, Greg, is doing a March Madness-style bracket of the top things made in the state of Pennsylvania. They're down to the final 8. And all we have left that aren't food are Zippos, the lighters, and Martin guitars, very high-end acoustic guitar manufacturers. And that made me think we're in big trouble, you know? Because if we go to war with China, even if we win the war, there's not going to be any like antibiotics or corsets. We need to make stuff, Craig.
Oh, I see what you mean. We need to start making stuff.
Listen, this swimming lesson is key for your fight with Ronda Rousey. he needs to come back to him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, corsets are important, I guess.
Yeah, and we've got some great products. We've got Yingling Lager. That's
Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
But it's all food. It's Permane Brothers. It's pierogies.
We
Kisses.
We need more industry, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we're just getting fat.
All right.
It's been a tough.
Joe, you look great.
Thank you.
Chris,
It's gonna help you keep her under.
Yeah. Chris, what are you're rubbing your hands?
I'm
together?
rubbing my hands.
All right, tell me what.
I'm from Winchester, Virginia. It's on the Virginia-West Virginia border. And we have some really great stories that are going on right now. One of the best, though, is an attempted robbery of the Ramada Inn in Shenandoah County. Get this. These are very, very smart women who attempted this robbery. 3 women show up in a car together. 2 of them get out and try to break into the Ramada Inn office to steal money, I assume.
Right.
And they can't get in the door. So they go back and they get in the car. The 3rd woman then gets out of the car and pretends to be an Amazon delivery guy and said, I'm not one of the robbers, I'm an Amazon delivery guy. That doesn't work. They call the police. What I left out in these details is that all 3 of them were wearing ski masks. One of them said she just happened to be there. She had nothing to do with it. Well, why the hell were you wearing a ski mask? She said, it was very windy that day.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's awesome. I love where I'm from.
Yeah, you are. You're from a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. Can I see that mugshot again? That woman on the right there, she looks very, very sad. And I think if I'm going to do a mugshot, I'm at least going to smile. Because if I can just bring joy to somebody's life, even in my mugshot, just like this. You know what? I'm going to do this right now, Kat. She should smile more. Don't women love it when they're told they have to smile more? She should smile. If she smiled more, she probably wouldn't be in jail.
Guess what? If I get arrested for trying to break into the Ramada Inn and wearing a ski
You're
mask,
gonna smile.
Posing as an Amazon delivery guy, I ain't smiling either.
All right, Tyrus.
Which one am I from? Because I'm from everywhere and nowhere. But unfortunately, this is Boston, I believe. Someone who's wicked stupid decided to sue Dunkin' Donuts because the app is too expensive. How about the fact someone should sue you if your ass is too lazy, you can't drive and go to the drive-thru and get your donuts, or even worse, get out of the car, walk in and get them? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
He's suing because he says the app's too expensive?
Yeah.
How much is the app? Isn't it like $1?
If you are downloading an app for donuts, you. Seriously. Seriously. Case dismissed. I'm sorry. Like, that argument, I'm not having it. That's up there with CNN and racist media.
I love Dunkin' Donuts. I love Dunkin' Donuts.
You have a Dunkin' Donut app. Yeah. Everyone loves Dunkin' Donuts, okay? Yeah. It's the place you go when Krispy Kreme's is closed. But has anyone ever, I'm kidding, has anyone ever, do you need a donut app?
No, I just go once,
And you have apps. You have food and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of apps.
Anyone here have a donut app?
Maybe it's you want to skip the line sometimes, Tyrus. It makes perfect sense.
You like to get ahead. Like he's like the guy who likes to walk in and go, "Oh, do you have my order?" And then he just walks by the line and they hand him this thing and you feel really good. You've done that at the airport, haven't you?
Well, no, I have Premier Access, so I have to wait in line with the unwashed masses.
Got to get that clear, man.
Yeah. Clear. Yeah. All right, Kat. Michigan.
Mine's really sad.
Oh, geez.
I'm here to sadly report the closing of 26 Burger Kings throughout the state of Michigan. I know. Burger King was a huge part of my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are they closing them? Is it just lack? You know what it is? They can't find enough people?
I'm too emotionally distraught to have looked into it that much. It was. No, every Memorial Day weekend, the Sunday of every Memorial Day weekend, we would drive to Cary, Ohio to go to the Shrine of Our Lady of Consolation. And then we'd go to church. And then afterwards, we got to go to the religious store and then go to the basement and then look at all the saints' bones. You guys just do secular stuff for Memorial Day? Not like the beach, not me. And then we got to eat meatloaf sandwiches, and then we had to go back to church. Well, actually, we walked in a procession around the block praying the rosary. But then on the way home, we got to go to Burger King, and I got to get whatever I wanted.
Wow. You earned it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of religious stuff in one day.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of religious stuff on other days, too.
You know what's sad is that people used to go to like Burger King and McDonald's and sit in the restaurant, and it was a fun family thing. Now, unless you're looking for some crack or a fist fight, you just don't go.
Yeah, you're right. It's like when I was growing up in the 70s, that was if you got a good grade.
You went to McDonald's.
Yeah. Friday, it was always Friday. You'd go down, you did like sit around there. It would be so exciting. Even with the small order of fries. They only had one size when I was young.
Well, that was good for you with your little hands. You know?
I entertain you people every night.
They turned against you, Greg.
They turned against me. They love making fun of my tiny hands.
Yeah.
They really are delicate and precious. They're so cute. They're like a baby's hands. Sometimes I'll wake up and they're on my face.
We're going to stop there.
All right,
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. So, before we get to the fun stuff, I do want to talk about the Nashville school shooting. Don't worry, the second half of the show is really funny. Brian Kilmeade will be here to talk politics. So last night I came across an interview with former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole, and she backs up something that I've been ranting about every time bad stuff like this happens. She told the Daily Mail that Nashville and pretty much everywhere else should brace for copycat events due to the inevitable contagion effect caused by the media. Adding, quote, threats increase in schools nationwide after a shooting has occurred anywhere in the U.S. Sadly, evil seems to inspire more evil. It's the same reason they keep making more Sex and the City movies. But the media helps. Now, she knows this to be true because after the Columbine shootings in '99, the FBI studied 18 previous school shootings and found that the copycat influence was real in all of them. Turns out mass shooters are as unoriginal as they are disgusting. And why? Because info on these fiends becomes instantly available in minute detail. And what do fiends share a love for? Infamy. It's why they keep press clippings from previous shooters, and also why they boast about the infamy before it actually happens, like the Nashville shooter did. So the media incentivizes future mass shootings by rewarding the present ones. I don't know how you can get any more plain than that. Which brings me to Nashville's coverage. I hate it. Here's the front page of the New York Post yesterday. The timeline of terror shows you minute by minute how the carnage unfolded, complete with pictures of the gunman looking like a gunman. Then you get chilling final text messages from the shooter. You get photos of the victims. You get stories about the shooter's parents. Is that enough? Well, we also got the body cam footage, family members of victims, photos of the classroom pre-rampage. Did we need that? And this is just one paper. Multiply that by thousands, because it's not just the Post. And hell, I love the Post. They broke the story on Hunter's laptop, and it's the most accurate source for what Kim Kardashian's butt is up to. But this story's everywhere. USA Today, Newsweek, ABC News, CBS, CNN, NBC, they all featured similar takes on their homepages. So it gets amplified online as well as the networks, as social media blasts it into every single phone. It's like Jimmy Fallon at Fox News. He's everywhere, and I'd like to apologize for that. So how long before there's another shooting? And where is the media responsibility in this? Don't they know the science? It's there. The FBI's been saying this for 25 years. The repetition of minimal facts, along with the play-by-play reporting and visual accompaniment, amplifies the story, which informs the deeds of future. In fact, it can lead in all probability to another shooting within weeks. So the only way you can stop this is to show some responsibility in the reporting. Right now, the media functions like a mindless meter maid. And that's no offense to meter maids. After all, they did look the other way when I keyed Jesse Waters' Ferrari. But in a way, reporters are often just writing tickets, doing the job necessary right then and right there with little or no moral responsibility for the future. And it's the same media who, after turning every shooting into a spectacle of infamy, then complains, why does this always happen? Well, because evil exists and you amplify it, you dumbass. You think that repetition of the same old facts doesn't matter? Why do you think we have advertisers? You think we ran the same old friggin' Snuggie ad every 5 minutes because it didn't work? Hell, thanks to advertising, I own 400 Chia Pets.
I've seen them.
Yep. My suggestion, adopt what the World Health Organization advises regarding suicides. Create guidelines to reduce the media footprint, to reduce imitation. Shut down the visuals and have all new info done by press release. No video, no film, no pics, and avoid prominent placement. Stop repeating the same facts. Move on when you run out. It seems you need to make it as boring as a book on tape, like this one. Now, you could cut these incidents in half or more if the media had agreed to do it, but will they? I keep pleading, but I fear there's just too much attention and power to gain. The media lives by the ratings while everyone else dies by them. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She goes from 0 to 60 in 3.5 sentences. Host of Outnumbered, Emily Campagno. He's not the funniest DeVito, but at least he's taller. Writer and comedian Joe DeVito. I thought I had tinnitus until she stopped talking. Fox News contributor Kat Tibbs. And Gwyneth Paltrow skis down him for practice. My massive sidekick in the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Iris. Emily, I work in the media. I feel like I'm not trying to criticize my coworkers or anything like that. I just wonder, like, why can't we dial this stuff back? What's holding us back?
And there's nothing holding back what we're focusing on. There's nothing saying let's constrict the coverage in general. It's saying let's not put the shooter's name out there on the front page. Let's not put their photo. Let's not publish the manifesto. Let's not create a culture around centering the criminal rather than centering the victims. Everyone, I'm sure, knows the shooter's name. Let's name who actually died that day. Little Hallie Scruggs, Evelyn Dickhouse, at 9 years old, she died pulling the fire alarm. What a brave little hero at 9 years old. William Kinney, Mike Hill, Cynthia Peake, and Catherine Kuntz, who died confronting the shooter, right? Officer Colazzo, Officer Engelbert, Engelbert had just received an award for precision policing. And Colazzo, he was a Marine Corps veteran, and he had responded to the Nashville Christmas Day bombing in 2020. Those are the names that people should revere and honor and remember. Those are the photos that we should know. And it's also, you know, it permeates law as well. Unfortunately, I have to say it, but the Larry Singleton bill in California, remember, that was derived after the horrible kidnapping and torture of Mary Vincent. And that resulted in there be no parole for someone that tortures someone during commission of a sexual crime, because he was out basically 5 seconds later, the bill was named after him. Why was it named after her?
Right.
Mary Vincent, those are the heroes that we should amplify. So I wholeheartedly agree with you that at least you know the responsibility we have with this position to amplify the good, to amplify those whose memories deserve to be honored, and to absolutely extinguish those that have no place here.
Yeah, you know, finally, Emily says something that makes sense. The amplification of positivity is the one exception to the my media blackout, in the sense that, like, the body cam footage, I think, was valuable because it showed cops doing a great job, and maybe that influences people to become cops.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to see the murderer get murdered, because I don't think mass shooters actually envision that. Right? So it's good that they see themselves get killed.
Yeah, well, it's sad that ever since Columbine, these losers become celebrities, because when you think of all the things it takes to create something, and it only takes a little bit of effort from a deranged person to destroy, and what is worse to destroy than the lives of children? It's so horrifying. And it bothers me that when these things happen, no one learns. No one's opinion changes, and it's like they have this stupid tweet ready to go.
Yeah.
We have someone who went in and slaughtered people in a Christian school, and people are arguing over, well, what pronouns are most respectful to the murderer?
Right.
We need to stop that nonsense, and I don't know what the remedy for this sickness in our society is, but we've got young people, they're doped up, they've been locked up, they're getting surgically chopped up, and now we're wondering why they don't see any meaning and purpose in their lives. And I don't know what we need to do about it, but I think Emily made a good point. Look to the people who ran toward the gunfire. Look to the people who should be the ones whose names remembered. The cops who went in there, they didn't know what they were facing, but they had a job to do to save lives, and they went and did it.
You know, Kat, Joe hits on the thing I think that just drives me crazy in terms of the media. The story itself is horrifying, but the media acts like they've never talked about it before. It's like they have but yet they repeat the same exact things. That has to happen when you have the, I don't know, the memory power of a goldfish.
Well, you know, I think that also, if you look at the media coverage, you would think that what happened is somehow a divisive issue.
Yeah.
It's not. Everybody except for maybe those few absolute, total, insane psychopaths agrees that this was just unspeakably horrific. But, you know, there's this narrative coming that Republicans, they just don't care about kids. And I can't speak for Republicans because I'm not one, but as a Second Amendment supporter, I can say that it's, you know, we have a right to bear arms. It's not that, you know, the military and the police should not be the only ones allowed to have guns, which also drives me crazy when people on the left say, you know, all these things about cops, but then they also think that they should be the only ones that are allowed to have guns. I explain that.
Yeah.
And that's what it's really about. And I might get for this, but I don't care. To any conservatives who might be saying this suggests that trans people shouldn't be able to have guns. I know it's only a few people, but I would like to really caution you about calling for the government to ban entire groups of people from their fundamental rights.
I didn't see anybody call for that ban.
No, there's a few fringe people, and it's enough for me to say something about it, because once that starts happening, there's no stop to it continuing.
Tyrus, do you agree that we, in a way, and it's unintentional, or maybe it isn't, we incentivize this for, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, some, I guess, outrage economics, you know?
Well, there's no reason for you to be in the by yourself, so let me take this off. That way no one else gets blamed for what I'm about to say. It's our fault. It's your fault, my fault. We watch turn it off. We don't turn it off.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the first network to say no?
Right.
Right? You're going to lose ratings. You're going to lose ratings, okay? The only picture we should see is that individual with a bullet in his chest crying out for help as they slowly die. That should be the picture. That's it. Once the killer is shot and dead, their story's over. It's done. That's it. Then we talk about the victims. Then we praise the police or criticize the reaction or talk about how we make soft targets hard again. But that's it. But here's the problem. The ratings, and I disagree with you, and I love your monologues. You're the most brilliant man I know, but you put too much faith in people sometimes. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing. They know if they have at least 6 different shows with different angles on this killer, people are going to watch.
Right.
And then the other networks are going to go, well, guess what? We're going to have 7. And then there'll be 8, and they'll keep going back and forth. And then here comes punk-ass politicians with their, we need to get rid of guns, and, we need to work on mental health. They don't give a damn either because they're getting checks from the lobbyists, from the NRAs, from this, that, whatever side of the fence you want. So there's only one way to do it. You, me, we got to turn the TV off when they start getting. If the ratings go down, we go down, because no one's going to do a documentary. No one's going to do a documentary on the little girl, her life. She came up and she pulled the fire alarm. Nobody. But they're going to do a documentary on the individual who shot it. And here's the deal: the reporters that covered it, they might get in the documentary too.
Exactly.
So then they get a best-selling book out of it.
Yes.
So they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just as complacent and could care about other people's feelings as a killer when it comes to making a dollar. And until we turn it off, this is going to keep going.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight we're having a lot of gun control debates this week. And it's possible you've heard an advocate for gun control say that in this country we have more firearms in civilian hands than we have civilian hands. And that is true, actually. The total American population is about 332 million people, and collectively they own more than 400 million firearms. About half of all U.S. households have at least one gun at home, and many have much more than that. Plus they have ammo, billions and billions of rounds of it. Those are all real numbers, but they are hardly an argument for gun control. They're an argument, in fact, against it. Ask yourself, what would it require to confiscate all those guns and all that ammunition and turn the United States into a disarmed nation like Turkmenistan or North Korea? Well, it would take a police state, and it would end in civil war. No sane person wants either one of those things, but thankfully, we don't need them. The fact that so many Americans have a firearm within reach but never commit violence tells you that guns are not the problem. Most people in this country can be trusted with an AR-15, just as we can be trusted with cars and light aircraft and electricity and baseball bats and insecticide and chainsaws and pruning shears and countless other objects that could easily double as weapons. On some level, all of us understand this. The problem is always the person, not the tool he uses to commit a crime. If you wanted to stop murder, you would focus on the people who are committing murder, not on the hundreds of millions of their neighbors who are not. You'd really want to know what motivated killers to kill. And the first thing you would do is study what murderers have in common with one another, how they were raised and where, their educational backgrounds, their genetic makeup, drug and alcohol use, their ideological and religious views, their sexual behavior, and probably a whole lot of other factors. You would study murderers, and you would do it with an open mind, as a scientist would. You would be serious about it because it matters. In the late 19th century, researchers finally decided that infection is spread by germs. And as a result of that conclusion, surgeons are now required to wash their hands before they cut you open. Everybody agrees that this is progress. But what if we had refused to learn how infection is spread? What if we just didn't want to know? Well, appendectomies would still be fatal, and we would be a backward, ridiculous, uncaring people. It's impossible even to imagine that. And yet, on the question of violent crime, of murder, it's very easy to imagine that because it's happening. Our leaders are determined not to know why people shoot each other, and they don't want us to know either. They're adamant that we do not ask questions about motive. It seems, for example, like an awful lot of mass shooters have taken prescription psychiatric drugs in the days before they opened fire and killed others. Have you noticed that? Maybe you have noticed that. Good luck saying it in public. You'll be shouted down immediately by someone with an advanced degree. How dare you criticize Big Pharma? What are you, a conspiracy nut? No, actually you're not. You're someone who cares about cause and effect. You're a rational person. The only conspiracy here is the one designed to prevent you from figuring out why mass shootings keep happening. Consider the killings that took place on Monday in Nashville. The killer was a 28-year-old female transgenderist who shot her way into a Christian elementary school and murdered 3 9-year-olds and 3 adults. Why did she do that? In a rational country, that is the very first question we would ask. In our country, it's the last question. In fact, often it's never asked at all. On those rare occasions when somebody finally manages to wonder out loud about motive, our leaders immediately start lying, which should tell you a lot. Here's the Attorney General of the United States yesterday.
I realize that the shooter is dead, but the shooter could have had collaborators. Do you plan on opening a hate crime investigation for the targeting of Christians?
The FBI and ATF are both on the scene, working with the local police. As of now, motive hasn't been identified, and the police chief said at his last press conference that they don't yet have reached a conclusion with respect to motive. We are certainly working full-time with them to try and determine what the motive is, and of course, motive is what determines whether it's a hate crime or not.
So here's what we just learned from Merrick Garland. The FBI, the ATF, and the Nashville police are all investigating these shootings. Yet, more than 24 hours after they took place, none of those professional investigators can even guess as to why the shootings happened. Motive hasn't been identified, Garland told us. Really? You wonder how that could possibly be. Just before she opened fire, the Nashville shooter wrote these words to her best friend over Instagram, quote, "One day this will make more sense. I've left behind more than enough evidence." That evidence includes a written manifesto where the killer spells out exactly why she killed children. The FBI, the ATF, the Nashville police, and for that matter, Merrick Garland, all have access to that manifesto. And yet somehow the Attorney General informs us that a motive has not yet been identified. Well, he's lying. They all are lying. We can't see the manifesto because the transgender lobby, which has far more power than you do, has pressured politicians to keep it hidden. But we can be certain what it says. Monday's victims were murdered because they were Christians. It's that simple. Transgenderists hate Christians above all, not because Christians are a physical threat. The third graders were not a physical threat, but because Christians refuse to join every other liar in our society and proclaim that transgenderists are gods with the power to change nature itself. Christians are not allowed to say that. They have their own God. And for that refusal, that unwillingness to bow down and worship a false idol, in this case of transgenderism, they were murdered. We have never seen this battle so starkly set as it is now. And it opens to us, to our eyes, the main divide in America. And it's not between race or political party. It's not even between religious affiliation. The divide is between people who think they are God and those who know they are not God. That is what the Nashville shooting was about. It's what virtually everything is about. That conflict exists because these two groups could not be more different. They will be forever at odds with one another, and they always have been. People who know they are not God are by definition restrained. They understand the limits of their own power and of their virtue. They appreciate the complexity of the world, which they freely admit they don't really understand because no human can fully understand it. They may not always be good people, but they are certainly less dangerous people, if only because their ambitions are limited by the acknowledgement of reality. Only God can do certain things, and they know they are not Him. Now, people who think they are God are not like this at all. People who believe they're God have no natural limits because God has no limits, nor do they have any real concern for others. They are their own God. They worship themselves. In Freudian terms, they are narcissists, and narcissists admit no fault. They externalize everything. They always blame others. So not surprisingly, given this, transgenderists and their allies spent today attacking Christians just days after a transgenderist murdered Christian children. Here's Congresswoman Catherine Clark of Massachusetts on the House floor.
Layered in my pride is my concern for you. I know your strength, but I also know how determined the forces are that have pitted themselves against you. The politicians and preachers who would rather see you languish in a dark closet than watch you engage the world as you do, cultivating joy and love wherever you go. Let's reject the forces of opposition and bigotry. Let's celebrate the bravery and beauty of our trans community.
Cultivating joy and love wherever you go. This in response to the murder of children by a self-described trans person. You're the victim, transgenderists, not the dead children in Nashville. And of course, virtually everyone in power in this country agreed. Amazon, the company, sent an email to its employees from its LGBTQ+ department, assuring its trans employees that they were affirmed and they were great people. No mention whatsoever of the dead children in Nashville. Their concern was the only concern. And then NBC News ran this headline, one of many like it. Tennessee's trans community's concerned because of the focus on the identity of the shooter. No update from NBC on how the Christian community in Nashville is doing, because who cares? They're just mortals. Their concerns aren't meaningful. Joe Biden certainly doesn't care. Watch him chuckle as he talks about Monday's massacre.
You believe that Christians were targeted in a Nashville school shooting? You believe that Christians were targeted? I have no idea. Josh Hawley believes they were. What do you say to that? Well, I probably don't that. Probably don't. No, I have no idea.
People who believe their God will always turn their rage and frustration outward. They will never blame themselves. How could they? They are God. So you should not be surprised to learn that in the wake of this shooting, when their agenda is revealed for all to see, there will be no contrition, no changing of ways. There will only be acceleration, and there will be more violence coming. And they're telling us that. The press secretary for the governor of Arizona, Katie Hobbs, someone called Jocelyn Berry, who was just resigned apparently, uploaded this photograph hours after the killing along with the message, "Us when we see transphobes."